Well, the spring game, it's in the books. I'm going to talk about the good, the ugly, the in-between in just a second. I'm glad you're hanging out with me here late on the Saturday of the spring game. I believe this is the earliest spring game since the 70s, and it was a little cool out there, but I'm glad you're hanging out with me. If you love talking Clemson football, yes, even during this dry spell from the very end of March all the way into when fall count begins late July, early August. Hope you'll pass this along to your friends and subscribe. That is free. I do appreciate it. Check out my other channel, another college football podcast where I talk about college football overall. That link is below this video as well. All right. So today, the spring game was held at 1 o'clock in Death Valley. I believe roughly 25,000 people showed up. I did take a picture of the crowd. It paled in comparison to the years that Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence was here when we were getting 50 and 60,000 people to show up to a spring game. But it was a very interesting day. So I went with my youngest son, my two nephews, ended up running into Christian Wilkins and Austin Bryant. I want to tell you this. I was very impressed. They were very, especially Austin, and I'm not saying Christian was not engaging at all. He was very kind, took a picture, everything. Austin Bryant, I've never met him before. He was very engaging with my nephews and my son. Talked to them that, hey, do y'all play football? Yes. Well, what position and everything? And it wasn't like we were in a line. We actually ran into them, and it was just them and someone I know very, very well. And they introduced us. They said, hey, here's the guys. And it was a good time. Death Valley is Death Valley. I love Death Valley. I know that the football team is not where I want it to be, but there's one thing that I can agree on with almost all of the people who totally think that I'm terrible and awful because I tell the truth about the team. There's one thing that I can agree with them on. It's a special place. I love Death Valley. We went and had lunch at TD's. We walked around the campus. It was a lot of fun. Okay. It was a lot of fun. And yeah. So that was a really good experience. I saw Dexter Lawrence getting on the golf cart at one of the facilities, and we missed him. I mean, he waved at us. He was very, very friendly, but we didn't get to get a picture with him, and I would have liked to got a picture with him. He is a massive human being. Oh my goodness, he's a massive human being. But anyway, let's talk about the spring game. Christopher Vezina did not look awful. He didn't. Okay, he didn't. If you're wanting me to hop on here and say that Christopher Vezina looked like garbage, Christopher Vezina did not look like garbage. He didn't. With that said, Tate Reynolds, a guy who missed all of his senior season in high school due to an injury. First off, he's a thick kid. I'm not talking overweight. I'm talking thick. Right? So if this guy gets out in space, and by the way, he can move. If he gets out in space and you have a DB, no matter how cocky he is and he thinks he's the greatest thing ever, well, you know how DBs are. They got to be that. Yeah, he'll get his head knocked off by Tate Reynolds if he lowers his shoulder on him. He's just got that build. Tate Reynolds, only a few months removed from high school. He had his freshman mistakes. He would hold on to the football a little longer than he should. And that is a big deal, right? With that said, Tate Reynolds almost looks as good as Chris Vezina. And that's me being just as unbiased as I can be. Again, Vezina did not look bad. Tate Reynolds almost looked as good as he did. Now, I know someone who sits and just watches footwork all the time. And listen, I understand footwork matters, but decisions matter as well. I believe in good technique. At the same time, if you're all eat up and throwing, if you're totally obsessed with, is the footwork perfect? Well, let me tell you why. I know it's important. I'm not arguing that, but I'm saying what goes on up here, really, that's a big deal. Tate Reynolds can play. Christopher Vizina, again, did not look bad. There was a couple of miscues, but he did not look bad. Chris Denson falling down the depth chart is eyebrow raising. It really is. So the first two quarterbacks that came out, obviously for the starting team, for the Orange beat the crap out of the white. But Vizina was a quarterback, first string. Second string, everybody was probably considering that Denson, he could get the nod. Nope, he didn't. Tate Reynolds came out. I mean, that floored me. That floored me. And you can't always get caught up in what you read leading up to this point, because we've been told stuff before by the Clemson media, and I'm not saying they were lying. I'm just saying that what they were perceiving in practice didn't come to fruition, whether it was a spring game or a season. Okay. So I'm not slinging mud at anyone, but that's happened. So I figured Denson could get the nod. Nope. Tate Reynolds was second string. And when Denson came out, it did not look that good. It did not look amazing. And then after and I'll get into this in just a second, because I wanted to read what the Clemson media and everybody around them, what they were saying and so on. But he's fell down the depth chart, and I could see why, unfortunately. Brock Bradley came out, the guy out of Hoover, Alabama. I kind of felt bad for him, because I feel like that there was just some things working against him on top of him being brand new. Okay. So not dogging him at all. He did get touched in the end zone, which is safety. And we all know the rules for practice, and we know why. Quarterback's not going to get hit if they barely nick you. Touch your fingers, that's a sack. That's a sack. And then we get these astronomical sack numbers. And we're like, whoa, did you see that so-and-so downtown Doo-Doo Brown had 14 sacks today? Oh, man, he's incredible. Season starts, and he has half a sack on the entire season. That's why. Of course, I don't want the quarterback to get hit. Just saying, don't get overwhelmed by some of these sack numbers you saw come out of practice, because in a regular game, several of those are not even going to be remotely a sack, even remotely close to a sack at all. So he did get, I think he would have probably got sacked for his safety in a real game, though. I mean, they were on him. He would have probably got sacked for safety, or even worse, probably got hit. The ball would have went up. Someone probably picked it off, ran it back in the end zone. I'm trying to fly through and replay this. Gideon Davidson had some really good moments. I think he rushed for like 80 yards. He had a 35-yard carry. He finished the game with about almost 9 yards per carry. That was good. Even though his numbers were not through the roof, there's something about David Easy I really like. Really like. Chris Johnson was not terrible or anything like that, but I wasn't blown away. Maybe they're still working. They'll work, between now and fall camp. They're going to work on his size, probably put another 5 to 10 pounds on him if they can. It was good to see Jarvis Green get into the game. I don't know if Jay Haynes got in. I need to look. I left with about 8 minutes left in the spring game, but it was good to see Jarvis Green get in. Jarvis Green is about 5'9", 200 pounds. I like that bowling ball kind of low center of gravity. You need to have one of those guys. Bad. Like really bad. And so having someone like him with that low center of gravity who can lower the boom on you, that's big in short yardage situations. Of course, David Easy is really good for that. My biggest prayer, though I have bigger things in my life to pray for, but just go with me here. Just having a little fun, but just being a little loose-lipped. My biggest prayer is that they will know how to rotate these running backs, because we do have the running backs, folks. If you see one running back who is staying in no matter what, and they're getting tired, that's just bad rotation. And I'll tell you what qualifies me to make that decision. It's kind of like with food. I never went to culinary school, but if I go to a fine dining restaurant and I'm paying, $500 for me and my wife to eat, and you sit down some food and I taste it, and it tastes like I threw up in my mouth a little bit, I didn't have to get a culinary degree and work in a world-renowned kitchen to know it tastes like barf. So there's my qualification. You have running backs who are unbelievable, talented. I'm not saying the best ever, but Clemson has a running back for every situation. If you don't rotate them well, if you don't use them for the correct situation, that's not on me, a guy in his bonus room who has no say over Clemson University and the way they run their football team. It's not on you, and whether you're super optimistic and think you can manifest Clemson being good again. It's not on you. It's not on fans traveling well for the team and being able to hum the Tiger Rag. No, it's on your running back rotation and your play calls that could use them. We have the running backs. Do you hear me, folks? I'm saying something positive. We have the running backs. Use them right. Let's talk about Christian Bettenker. Really like that he was getting involved. It's nice to see them semi-attack the middle of the field a little more. The defense did not look bad as far as the Orange team. They did not look bad at all. There was some good moments there. I was looking at a stat sheet here. Goodness. Let me see. Y'all forgive me. Vic Burley. Vic Burley was a big recruit coming into Clemson. He's had a lot of health problems, a lot of injuries, excuse me. He finished up with 2.5 sacks and a pass breakup. I know, again, I said what I said about touching someone and they're automatically down, but he really did look solid. The linebacker, Fletcher Cothran, he had 8 total tackles. That was pretty good for the team. Who else was that? There one of our big dogs that I say big dogs. What I mean is one of our players we got out of the transfer portal, one of the linebackers, had a pretty good day as well. I totally lost that. Y'all forgive me. London Merritt. It was London Merritt. Had a pretty solid day, y'all. I mean, he looked pretty good. Joins the team out of the transfer portal. The guy can play, has the ability. So that was very interesting. Very, very interesting. Got 114 of you in here. If you like what I'm doing, I hope you'll subscribe and pass along to your friends, your neighbors, your clergymen, whatever. It is free. Man, I had a blast with my nephews and my son. I had a blast today. We had such a good time. And, that's what a spring game, these events, part of it's about. You getting together, hanging out. Again, them meeting Austin Bryant and Christian Wilkins was awesome. It was fun, and I loved it. There's no place like Clemson. I love it. But here comes the truthful part, and I'm going to try to fly through this. I don't want to make this a really, really long video. I say that, and then I do. I think about that today. There was roughly, 25,000-ish people who showed up And I took a picture of it and it bothered me. It really, really bothered me because if you went back 10 years ago, right now, you were having like 50 to 60,000 people show up to watch Clemson. Practice. This is a glorified spring practice. And that bothered me. Last year, we had a pretty solid turnout. I don't think it was near 50,000. I could be wrong. But it was definitely a lot more people than this year. And of course, last year, you knew that you were returning a lot of people. You knew that you were coming off of a playoff appearance, even though I have my opinions on that. You were coming off of a playoff appearance. You knew that the next season you were coming in with a 4-year start or a 3-year starter at quarterback. You had Parker, Woods. I mean, all these guys. And that also bothers me, as I remember being at the first spring game where Peter Woods trots out there, and I'm like, holy crap, that guy was right out of high school. You're kidding me. And now he's gone. It bothered me. It bothered me. It bothers me that Clemson football is at this place. Let's talk about the offensive play calling. The offensive play calling did look better, but I was not blown away. Will Bryant, okay, I'm not even looking at the chat right now. I've been doing this long enough to where I can already see the comments populating. Well, Brian, you got to give them a little time. Well, Brian, they just got there 5 minutes ago when they got to practice and learn and get this scheme under their belt. And yeah, you're right. Well, they're not going to show all their plays in a spring game. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. You got me. You got me. You got me. Just like you got me the past 3 or 4 spring games. Well, that was two different coordinators. 2 different coordinators, Brian. Listen, we're going to pick and choose when we use logic. How's that worked out for us? Terrible. Absolutely awful. The play calling, I'm still seeing way too many passes out into the flats. To me, that's just a boring. That is, I'm talking about. I'm almost to the point that's a lazy play call. I'm sorry. I don't know what y'all want me to do. Lie to you? Oh, there was 100,000 people there in an 81,000 seat stadium, and they were all happy, and the team looked great. No, that's a lie. Clemson fans are coming to the conclusion that it is over. Now, a lot of them are not going to start a YouTube channel and put their face out here to where you can say God knows what to me because you're mad at me that I would even think about saying something about this football team, and that I need to say super positive because recruits and players may see this. Folks, the only thing that matters to recruits and players right now is the almighty dollar. So I just want to remind you of that. The offense did not look amazing. I hope that by September the 5th, something will have happened between the players and the coaching and the workouts and the watching videos and watching film and everything that we can conjure up to make us sleep at night until September the 5th. Because if what I saw today offensively, and though the defense did not look bad, but you know what happens when the offense can't move the football. Even if you have a really good defense, they're going to get tired out. And then the monsoon ensues. If what I saw today even remotely shows up on September the 5th, probably a night game in Baton Rouge, Lane Kiffin's very first game, with more money than you know what has been shoved, or than you can imagine has been shoved into that football program, Clemson will lose by 5 touchdowns. And every one of you who are now sitting right watching me going, that's absurd, you will very quickly forget you type in "that's absurd." You'll be nowhere to be found when I go live that night and go, "Yep, I told you back on March 28th we were going to get our butts handed to us. We were going to lose our 4th season opener in a row, and out of the 4 losses, 3 of them were emasculations. Yeah, I told y'all this. You won't be anywhere to be found. We could put your face on a milk carton. We could have one of those Amber Alerts go off on the phones. You still won't be found. You'll be hiding. You'll go create. Maybe you'll create a little profile, a little burner profile with some, brilliant name, Jerry Seinfeld's friend, 1234. Saban and Dabo for life, 17. And you'll come on and make a little smart, snarky comments, but it won't save you from what I just said. If any of what I saw today shows up at LSU even remotely like that, mark my word, unless that team down there, unless they lose every one of their players that is worthwhile and they burn down the stadium, Clemson will lose by 4 or 5 touchdowns. And there'll be no humming the Tiger Rag enough to avoid it. And that's sad. I was looking down there. I was sitting up on the home side, and I could look down at the field, and the Power Rangers, they came back. And, I mentioned Austin Bryant and seeing Dexter Lawrence and Christian Wilkes and so on. And I looked down there, and what my thought was as I was looking down there, and they were just watching. Dexter Lawrence seemed to be just really locked in. I was like, I would love to go in their minds as they're watching what is now Clemson football. I would love to know what they're really thinking about. If I lined up against this team right here, I'd murder them. Oh my goodness, is this the same place? Don't walk up to him with a microphone and go, we're live here with the ESPN. Could you tell me your thoughts about the culture here at Clemson? Of course they're going to not bomb Clemson. But if you went into their mind, their heart of hearts, they're sitting there going, if we played this team right here, we would murder them. Guys would be hitting the transfer portal by halftime. We'd beat them that bad. And it just didn't look good. But to notice that the fans, they know it now. They know that it's like done. And you say, how do you know that? 25,000 people showed up, as to where 10 years ago, 8 years ago, you had 50,000 to 60,000 plus people showing up to watch Clemson practice. That tells me everything I need to know. What can we take away from this that is good? Well, there's a couple of different ways to look at it. Again, Vizina did not look bad. He didn't. I don't think he looks like a guy that has been in the program for 3 years. And though you have to get on the field, you also come to a D1 school to be developed. That's not his fault. Okay? That's not his fault. So anyone in the Vizina camp sees me talk, I'm not talking trash about you. I'd have to say that about my own son, and I'd be irritated going, why do you go to Clemson and he's not developed? Right? I mean, that's supposed to happen. Someone's being paid to do something. And there's so many people who are assistants and assistants to assistants and analysts and everything. Someone has to have the hair on their chest to speak up and go, why are we not developing that guy? That guy, please. Anyway. The good side, Tate Reynolds, Comes in. He looks like he could legitimately be a starter between who we have available to us. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Part of that is a big compliment to him. Part of that is a big problem for Clemson. I saw Trevor Lawrence play his first spring game, and I'm sorry, I saw nothing that even remotely looked like that today between all those quarterbacks. Now, if your goal as a Clemson fan is for 7, 8, maybe 9 wins year in and year out, I think this football team this year can win 7 to 8 ball games. All right. So that would give them 4 losses. The 2 losses I have in stone already, unless these teams, shut down the football program and they start focusing on, competitive badminton, it will be LSU and Miami. Those are losses in my head. I know I could not think that way, but I really have a very difficult time lying to myself. There's one thing I find insulting is when someone lies to me, but when I lie to myself, that's just stupid. I can't lie to myself what I saw today. Kelly Bryant was not a prolific passer. He was an unbelievable athlete. I felt like he should have changed positions. I very much have respect for Kelly Bryant. Kelly Bryant did not have the arm strength of maybe Vizina or Tate Reynolds, but I would trust him with leading the team more than I would trust them at this point. So that's where I'm at with that. So I will leave this nugget here. The same coaching staff that created or produced a 7-6 football team, almost that entire staff is still intact. With that roster last year. So riddle me this, Batman. Why should I believe that they can take a less experienced roster with more and more talent gone, and they're supposed to somehow have a good season? That's a tough one. That's a tough one to talk about. Let's get into the comment section. I'm going to fly through this because this is where my videos get really, really, really long. Roger Parks in here. Good to see you. Here I am. Good to see you. Good to see you, Roger Parks. Thanks for supporting the channel. Julie Johnson. Good to see you in here. Davidson looked good today at spring game. He did. Russ Tastic, my old buddy from Texas. Good to see you. Here for another year of it. Notre Dame, 2164. Howdy, folks. Good to see you. My old buddy Chase Henderson. Good to see you, pal. Good to see you, man. I hate Clemson doesn't televise the spring game anymore. Well, that was ESPN doing it when they had 60,000 people showing up. And they just won a national championship. That's what happened there. Good to see you, my man. Parker Henderson. Got the Henderson sisters in here, man. I'm honored. Good to see you, Parker. John answers, did you go? Yes, sir, I did. Yes, sir, I did. Had a fun time. Big John, I was thinking about you the other day. I was like, my goodness, I haven't seen that man in a while. Good to see you in here. You said, you handsome devil. How big is Tate Reynolds really? Hearing Tebow vibes behind center. High ceiling kind of guy. You think he'll show up this season? He's not as big as Tebow, but he reminds me of that build. I did not say his playability, though he can move. And those sacks that were called sacks on him today, I don't think one of them would have stood. He's that big. And not that big. That big and athletic. Downtown Doo-Doo Brown, you enjoyed that one. Yeah, it really does stink. They don't let you watch spring game anymore. Big Kev. Hi, Brian. Good to see you. Ezi Amume, good for short yardage and mid-range post. Good to see you. Oh, we have running backs. Do we have a coach? Let me see. Noah Tate is making a push. Also, Dabo calls sacks way too early in the spring game. Good to see you, Noah. Good to see you in here. I'm scrolling through here, not trying to just overlook anyone. What does the O-line have to bring to the table this year? Been mediocre at best, my opinion, last couple of seasons. They're going to get the benefit of the doubt this year because they lost so many people. That's one. And two, Matt Luke is one of those guys you'll see me extend the benefit of the doubt because before he came to Clemson, he won a national championship with Georgia. He has an incredible reputation at his position at coaching. So if he comes to Clemson, and that's the only time in his career it stinks, and if he left Clemson, went and started coaching somewhere else, and it was amazing, I don't think that would look too good for Clemson. So I think that Matt Luke has really inherited a mess over the past few years. And so we'll see what goes on here. We'll see what goes on here. But they have to improve some. Again, I hate that they have to start out with LSU, but hey, that's life, you know. Clemson doesn't have hard schedule. Carl Boykin, I mean, they have LSU and Miami. LSU and Miami, those two teams are a lot tougher. I mean, well, I don't even have to sell you on Miami. LSU's going to be a crazy. The Lander University Bearcats are playing the Division II. Natty, that's hilarious. Was there today. Chris Johnson Jr. looks promising. Hey, Trey Stevens, music. Good to see you, man. Yeah, I want to say that at one time they used him in a short yardage situation early on. I think that was him. I could be speaking out of place there. If they did, that was terrible because that's not what he does. That's not what he does. That's what I was talking about just a second ago. You have to know how to use your players. And I hope they will. Kiffin going to pay the refs awfully hefty. You know, yes, I get exactly what you're saying. With that said, he has so much money in that football team, which is legal, folks. It's part of how things are now. You may not like it, but that's football now. That's college football. And he won't need to pay the refs. Not against Clemson, at least. Agreed. They'll be singing the Tiger Rag all night. All right. LSU style. Dan Golding would be texting Dabo's best by halfway through the second quarter. That's hilarious. I mean, the program, is that a bad thing that he doesn't look like he's been in the program for 3 years? Because this program hasn't been what it should have been in the last 3 years. I get what you're saying. And I agree with the pivot there. With that said, he does look like he's been in this program for 3 years. To your point. I know what point you were making, but I'm going to flip that. I'm going to tweak that a touch. He looks like he has been in this program. Yeah. Did the offense look anything like Streeter or Riley was calling plays from a cell phone somewhere? Not overall, but it wasn't nearly as different as I wanted to see it. I mean, just throw that out there. I just don't see it. Travis Hamrick, oh, buddy, the players were softer than a shoe full of mashed potatoes last season. They sure were. And I don't think it's going to get any better. I was there hoping for the Gator Bowl. Hope for the Gator Bowl or Pop-Tart Bowl. Yeah. Good reporting, Brian. Good to see you. The OHIO podcast. Or as I like to say, the Ohio podcast. Ohio State Buckeyes, my old buddy Eric Boggs. Y'all go over there and say hello to Eric. They had me on. He had me on his show and had a few Buckeye co-hosts on there. And they were a lot of fun. They were a lot of fun. A ton of fun. Good seeing here, dude. They hyping up Reynolds, not buying the hype, or for Vizina, not very optimistic. Tiger Blake, let's say this. I think that Tate Reynolds legitimately does have a really good ceiling. He has a lot of athleticism. He can throw the football. He can move. This guy looks like the most impressive one of the entire bunch, but he's still a freshman. And it would be outrageously unfair to him if I were in Dabo's shoes and I was going to run with his quarterback room. I would start Vizina versus LSU. Why? Because though it's limited, he has seen more snaps at this level. Now, I did not say that that was going to be a successful move. I said with who I have. I think that LSU would adjust to any good things that Reynolds was doing and say, look, we're going to treat you like a freshman. There's very few freshmen that can come right in and start, that especially against a lot of talent and coaches that can coach very well. And it would be unfair to take. I wouldn't do that to him. If he was my son, I would say, I think you need to hold a clipboard, and then you need to go in and play cleanup against, teams that are, you're beating by 20 points. Go in there to where if you make a mistake, you're not going to lose the game. You need to get those snaps in, but starting or playing the majority of the time against LSU or a Miami team 5 weeks later, I think that would not be good for his, here's the D word, development. But yeah, joined the show late. What do you think? Who do you think the better quarterback was? Vizina was not bad at all. Vizina looks a little more mature than Tate Reynolds. But one's been in the program for 3 years. One has been on campus for 3 months. And Reynolds did not. Reynolds looked like he could hold his own. He would hold the ball a little long here or there. And that's going to be a problem against certain teams. So that's that freshman in him. And that's why coaches who are paid a lot of money to coach a game supposed to fix that. Now, with him, I'll give them time. I know Taj Boyd is involved now. Great, wonderful. I'm going to give Taj Boyd his shot and so on. I appreciate what he did for the university. I do get really nervous when we start bringing on former players who have little to no coaching experience. We've tried this before, and that's the reason you went 7-6 last year. Okay? So I'm trying to give Taj a clean slate, but history doesn't give me the ooey gooeys. But hopefully you can get that out of him. Good to see you. Walter Bucks, which wide receivers impressed? Tyler Brown actually looked pretty good. Sellers, the freshman out of Charlotte, looked pretty good. So, yeah, look solid. Bettenker, I cannot emphasize enough. I believe Bettenker is quietly the best tight end in the country. The question is, will the Clemson Tigers use him? Because if he was at Georgia or at Oregon, ripping it up, at Notre Dame, ripping it up, it's like, man, I wish we could get one of those down at Clemson. You already have one. Bettenker is one of the best players on the football team. You take that to the bank. It'll cash. It'll cash. It will. We're just not up to this point. We have not been using them, but he was used 3 or 4 times today. It was good to see that. One was a nice shot down the field. That guy just went up like a beast, took the football out of the air. I would get him majorly involved. Justin Parrott, go Clemson. Let me see. Ready to see. To be fair, LSU was ahead of the curve with regards for pay to play. Oh yeah. Well, that's the reason that the SEC. If you notice, the SEC is struggling since everybody else can pay their players. In college football, for 3 years in a row, you have a Big Ten team with a national championship. That's interesting. Just go sit in a dark room and think about that for a little bit. K-Dub, so hard to be a Tiger. It is. Used to hurt me, now it's a comedy. Dabo will wait until Clemson loses 4 games before putting Tate Reynolds in. Those are the facts. Yeah, I believe that. You think Cade looked better than CV? Honest opinion. You're gonna be shocked. I think Christian. I've been up for a while. I think Vizina looked better than what we saw last year. He was not nearly as jumpy as Cade became. Cade became so nervous. So nervous. I can't blame him. No one was blocking for him. The play calling was pretty Manila. You know, you have nobody that's guiding you. You went through high school at the highest level of Texas high school football, never lost a football game. You're playing against the top talent in the country. You come to Clemson, you start losing. You start losing left and right. It's like an old person who's losing their mind. They can't find their keys, their wallet, their phone, their teeth, their glasses and everything. You're just losing all the time. And you're supposed to be a good leader and all this bunch of stuff. And it wasn't his fault. What was his responsibility? You know what? I get that. There's a lot of people in life who runs from responsibility, but I'm going to say this point blank. It was somebody's responsibility to develop that young man. So when you have a guy who went 45-0 in 6A Texas football, and then he comes to your school and starts losing out the butt, you should probably lose sleep at night about the current state of your coaching staff. Like, no sleep. You can drink too much, you still can't sleep. You drink half a gallon of NyQuil, can't sleep. You're supposed to be sitting there going, holy smokes, we've turned a winner into a jittery, average quarterback. Has things went that awry? Yeah. And you'll still find Clemson fans who will load up their tube socks full of bars of soap and whack away at Cade Klubnik. Anyone who has football logic knows that probably is not the right approach. Let's go on down here. We don't play the way Christopher Walken looks. That's funny. You make me feel a little better about the quarterback room, Brian. Well, there's a couple of ways to look at it. It's not terrible. And you have someone to go at a number 2 position if you need to. Oh, yeah, we may be late, but we here. It's good to see you, Daquan Rondo. Vizina better come in there more like a Tom Brady, Phil General kind of guy. We don't need a hero with this type of opponent, especially going into week 1. The goal for LSU, just get out of that game healthy. You're going to lose it. You're going to lose it. If anyone knows me personally, you know I'm a competitive son of a gun. I'm competitive. I believe that if you sign up to do something, you better take it seriously, even if in your head you know that you're going to get your tail handed to you. You go in there, you bust your butt, you do what you're supposed to do, and let the better man win. Okay? I believe that 100%. I also know that today, if I walked up to Dexter Lawrence, and that massive human being, and I walked up to him, and I took a swing at him, if he swings back, and he will, and he connects, and I believe in his step through, his swing, he would knock me into a coma. That's not me being less than. That's me being realistic. That Dexter Lawrence, it would take like 6 of me to make one of him. If he connects, I'm in a coma. That's how I view Clemson and LSU. Clemson is focused on different things. LSU, whether you like them or not, whether you think how they handle things is ethical or not, they are focused on one thing: winning. Is winning the only thing that matters? No. Just like when you hire someone to build your house, building your house is not the only thing that matters. It doesn't. It's the way you do it. I agree with that. You want to treat those coworkers or the workers out there well. You want to make sure that they have good working conditions and stuff. But at the end of the day, you will pretty much come to the conclusion that as long as they're not doing something heinous, they better build your house. LSU's focused on winning football games. And the old saying, you chase two rabbits, you lose them both. They're chasing one rabbit, and that's winning football games. And at Clemson, the goalpost moves with us of what the goal is. And so that's the reason I'm so, Dabo will not let anyone besides CV start versus LSU. Clemson has replaced a whole bunch of development coaches with coaches that have experience. I get where you're going there, but we can go down the position list, and a lot of them are still the same, Travis. Grisham's still there. Richardson's still there. Spiller's still there. Eason's still there. Mike Reed's still there. I mean, and again, I don't enjoy calling for people to be fired. I'm just telling the truth. The ones that were in charge, other than the coordinators. So you have the head coach, we have the coordinators, we have the position coaches. Almost every one of them's intact. And they gave you 7 and 5. 7 and 6 overall. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Hopefully you're right and I'm wrong. I have been inviting the opportunity of eating crow for a very long time. And I tell you this, if I had to live off of eating crow, I would have died of malnutrition when it comes to this football team. I would have passed away a long time ago. I would have shriveled away like setting a carrot out in the Sahara Desert. I just been gone. But I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong. Did Denson make an appearance? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That's a profound point about Klubnik losing at Clemson. How long before dads and high school coaches tell quarterbacks don't go to Clemson? Very like now. Like now. Only way, and here's the thing too. Players will go wherever they're being paid, and paid well. That is. I was told today, one of our players, who's not a star player, but he's an up and coming player, is making $300,000 at Clemson. You heard me right. Playing at Clemson, he's not a household name. You could probably walk up to a lot of people on the street. A lot of people on the street who actually keep up with college football and name out this guy, and they go, I'm sorry, I don't know who he is. He's making $300K to play football at Clemson. Did you know that? So while you're busting your butt this week, loading shelves, driving a truck, working at the plant, maybe you got you a good job somewhere, maybe you own a business, you do quite well for yourself. $300K to go to school and be an up-and-coming player at Clemson. Not too shabby. I'd take it. All they have to do is just pay the players very, very well. You'll get them in there. So if you can't develop players, because your coaching staff is anemic when it comes to developing players, at that time you must pay your players a lot of money to get in the elite transfer portal players, they're proven, or the elite high school players who are playing the same money games as the elite proven at this level transfer portal players. Because if you can't develop, that throws that we're going to get our guys and develop, that throws that argument out the window, like totally out the window. You can't operate on that. To pull in development players, you must be able to develop them. We haven't seen that. Mike Roberts, okay, I've repeatedly said you cannot correctly evaluate a quarterback with about 6 good plays against Furman. I do agree with you, Mike Roberts. I agree with you. I said the same thing. I said, listen, it was exciting to see him do what he did, but this is not a good Furman football team. That was in the fourth quarter. Everybody was tired, and they had, second stringers in. So I'm not knocking Chris Denson. We need a savior right now on that football field. We need someone who can walk in and just take over a game. But we can't conjure up something that's not there. Arizona is up 66-55 with 5:37. Dexter is the biggest human being I've ever met. Yeah, he was massive. When he sat down in that golf cart, and it was one of the big ones, multi-seater golf carts, multi-row, I was like, that sucker's flipping. It's flipping. It's flipping. Man. Andrew, good to see you, my man. Good to see you. 93, Daquan Bowers mentally hit him, tackle him, sack him, knock helmets off. Yeah, it's what you're supposed to do. How am I doing tonight? I'm doing all right. I had a really, 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 really good day with my with my son and my 2 nephews. That was what was really important. You know, I would have loved to sat there and watched unbelievable football, but it was real. And I'm not making this up. I'm not trying to sound like a good guy here. I really just enjoyed being with them. We had some really good times, and times that even if the football team was the best ever, I'd way rather been with them than trading out to see the best football team ever. We had some really good times. Appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Walter Burke, if you were Wesco and Moore, would you have transferred? Well, they're making money. I don't know their exact dollars, but I think they could have. And this pains me to say this as a Clemson fan, but with the current state of Clemson football, I would not have blamed them one moment if they could have got more money somewhere else, and it would have improved like the play calling, the talent around them would have improved their draft stock. All I'll ask any of you, would you leave your company or your business if someone was willing to pay you a lot more money and it would brighten the future eventually for you and your family? You may be single now, but yeah, you probably would. I know a lot of people who's picked up their life and moved across the country to somewhere they didn't even want to be because it would give them and their family a better chance. So I wouldn't have blamed them. I will tell you this. I am hearing already that one of these wide receivers, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to say which one, but I already heard from a good source that one of these wide receivers already knows this is his last year at Clemson. He's going to the NFL. And I'm just going to say this. If you go into a football season already thinking about the NFL, your draft stock's going to drop. We've seen this before at Clemson. We've seen it at other schools. You cannot go into this season going, yeah, I'm definitely going the NFL draft. No, you can't. Why? Because this upcoming season hadn't happened. God forbid you sustain an injury. Talk to Bryant Wesco about an injury. He knows that, but either one of these guys believe that they're going into the NFL draft and you sat on that sideline and watched what happened today happen, and you think that you're going to, I mean, sure, you could go in the NFL draft, but I mean, you're going to go low, man. I don't think they would be free agents whatsoever, but you're going to go 4th, 5th round. As to where you go and you play some really good ball, you can get, 2nd, maybe lower 1st round. You can't, but I already have it on good authority that one of these guys is basically, they basically know that 2026, their last year at Clemson. I'm sitting there going, I saw both of their numbers last year. They weren't bad, but they weren't good enough to go, yeah, 26 is definitely my last season. I'm not making that up, folks. I know this for sure. True, Mike Reed has done a solid job. And so was Nick Eason. Not bad, but the players were not coached hard last season. Maybe you're right, Travis. Maybe you're right. His comparison's funny. I'm glad you enjoy it. Clemson football game on Saturday night. Yeah, it'll have to be. Steve-O. Hey, Brian. Hey, Steve-O. Good to see you. Drop the name inquiring minds want to know. Well, I gave you 2 of them. Wesco and Moore. Wesco and Moore is one of those guys. Did Denson see the field? Yes, he did in the 3rd quarter. He did not come out and play. He did not come out until the 3rd quarter. I think he was 4th or 5th on the depth chart. So remember the quarterbacks that we have: Vizina, Reynolds, Pearman, Brock Bradley, freshman out of Hoover, Alabama, and Chris Denson. Like or dislike LSU, there's one thing to be said for LSU. Those people want to win, and they'll do whatever they perceive as necessary to win. Yeah. Yeah, they will. And listen, I want to make this very clear for anyone who will listen to me and hear me. And if you're at the hour mark, I said I wanted this video to be shorter. I just got to stop saying that and just cut the video off. But I believe in ethics. I believe in character. I believe in doing things the right way. You can have character, you can have ethics, and you can do things the right way and still be competitive and still be a legitimate contender. I think that there's 2 sets of people out here. There's one group of people, and I've met this type of people in so many different areas of my life. They want to believe that for you to win, you have the reason we're not winning is because we won't do things the dirty way. And that's their out. We don't do things the dirty way. So there are people out there who believe that the reason that they're not doing as well as others is because we don't do things the dirty way, and that's the reason we lose. And they're wrong. On the other hand, you have people who wants things to be done the dirty way. They don't want to find out that you can do things the ethical way. Why? Because they enjoy cheating. They enjoy living like hell, is one way you could put it. So it's bad news to them that you could do something in an ethical way and actually have results. One is obviously bad, but the other one sounds like ethical and good character. Nah, it's pretty bad itself. It's saying that if we do things the ethical way, we always lose. Well, I don't think that's a lesson we need to teach the next generation. And by the way, I don't believe that's true. Yes, your hands will be tied in certain areas, where you're not going to become unethical. But that should challenge the competitor inside of you to say, you know what? We're going to have to figure out how to double down and do our jobs even better, our assignments even better, because we know the ethical way is the correct way. But to have that mentality that we lose because we're more ethical, that's a slippery slope, and I don't think anybody wants to go down it. Ohio State, I've used them as an example a lot, and I'll tell you why. Eric Boggs. I've ran into some really arrogant Ohio State fans. Just like on my Clemson channel, I've ran into some really, really arrogant Clemson fans who have absolutely no touch of no sense of reality. So I'm not going to lump in everyone together here. But I get it. I get it. But I would tell you this, there's a reason Ohio State's last 3 out of 4 coaches have won a national championship. It's because their fan base will not tolerate losing. It's an honor to be the coach at Ohio State. They'll tell you that. It's an honor for you to coach here. And we expect you to win and win at a high level. I like that because they're being honest, they're being competitive. They're trying to not only nurture, but prolong the winning nature of the program. They realize that once you start losing, it's hard to come back from that. Just ask Nebraska. Just ask Nebraska. Nebraska from I think it was 1971. It was something like 1971 to 2001 or 2002. They won at least 9 games every year for that entire period. Tom Osborne retires. Frank Solich takes over, actually gets them to the national championship game. They got walloped by 0-1 Miami, but good grief, who wouldn't get walloped by them? And then they let go of Frank Solich like a year later because he lost 8 ball, or he won 8 ball games. He's like 8-4 or something like that. But their hires didn't line up well, didn't make sense. And I'm not taking a shot at their coach. It just didn't make sense. And they went way downhill. Ohio State keeps the pressure on. And that's the reason why it's hard to think of a time when Ohio State wasn't good. It's hard to think of a time when Ohio State was not a legitimate contender for the national championship. I'm not saying every year that they are, but I'm just saying they've been really, really good for a really long time. It's because their fans protect the legacy. The fans are the one who is putting pressure on the administration, on the coaching staff, and they make it very well known. Listen, you want to come to Ohio State? We value this place. We're not going to let you walk in and win 7 ball games. We're not going to let you walk in and the next year maybe win 9 and think that, hey, they don't do that. And that's one thing I've been really let down with Clemson fans. We're doing that. Not all of us, because that would include me and that would include some of you, but we have not protected the brand at all. At all. We have not made the brand live up to expectations at all. What have we done? Well, we had some wins, and you can't win them all. You're not going to win a national championship every year. No, sir. No, you're not. I don't expect that. I don't expect that. But there's such a loser mentality that has saturated the Clemson fan base. It's bothersome. It is bothersome. It's really, really bothersome. Let me get on in here. I'm going to have to cut off this video and go. Let me see. Don't forget Ricky. Ricky Sapp was a beast. Arizona just beat Purdue. LSU has already beaten Clemson. I'm watching it too. Now UFC time. Yo, B, good to see you, Chops. Good to see you, Chops, my man. That's awesome. Good to see you in here. If it is legal, it is ethical. There's some things that I would say I disagree with you there, but I get where you're going there. We're gonna pay our players, and we're gonna pay them well. Well, you can do that now. You can do that. And so if we're not going to go to the portal and get the best players because we don't want to pay them a ton of money, and if we're not going to play those games with the elite high school players who are playing the same money games as the proven transfer portal players, we have to go and develop players. We can't develop players. I know I've said this, folks. This is like where the door hinges for Clemson's success. You can't get rid of all the channels of player acquisition, and the one you land on is what you're not good at. You're not good at developing players anymore. You were, you're not now. With lack of development with the veterans, how is the young talent looking? Any early insights on Gordon Sellers and Naeem Burrows? Gordon Sellers looked pretty solid today. Burrows had a few decent moments. I hope we get back to 8 or 9 wins. See, and I'm not knocking you here because that's where we're at right now. See, our level is already being taken. It's been taken down. It went from you can't win a national championship every year, which I agree with, to listen, you just expect too much. Oh, if we can just get to the college football playoff. Well, we got to the college football playoff. Sure, we lost by 2 touchdowns, but we got there. Now slap that banner up there so everybody shut up. Well, you can't do that. Oh, now if we got to 10 wins. Oh no, we get. Oh, now I hope we get to 8 or 9 wins. You see, the lower you allow the bar to go, you won't jump as hard. Well, then you have to lower the bar again. Well, then you're not jumping as hard as you can. It's just, yeah. I'm not picking at you, by the way. If the OSU standard was in effect at Clemson, Dabo would be coaching App State or Coastal by now, or maybe like Auburn. Look, I'm not calling for Coach Swinney to be fired. I am not trying to take shots at the man. He would have lost his job at Ohio State by now. With 2 national championships, they would have fired him by now. And I don't want that to happen for him. I'd just like to see him just fully embrace that most of his staff does not need to be there, and he should have made those changes probably after that Syracuse game, where Syracuse came in and absolutely ripped Clemson. That right after that, while the rest of the nation was firing guys left and right, that's when he should have started letting go of his staff in the middle of the season. And for the folks out there going, well, that's not the way he does things. Well, sometimes you have to change. Sometimes you have to change. And that the majority of this coaching staff is in place. We're kind of at a stalemate there. Gavin Bearden Just because something is legal doesn't mean it's ethical. I do agree with you. But I'm not saying that you're not arguing this or that you are arguing this. I'll just say this: paying college football players is now it's now legal, and it is ethical. Because if it's not ethical, folks, paying $1 to a Clemson football player would be unethical. I just mentioned that one of our football players is making $300,000 a year, and he's not a star on the team. So while we're all clenching our pocketbooks at Clemson, going, oh no! I mean, we can't pay all that money. We can't pay all that money to that player, of that mercenary player out of the transfer portal. Yeah, you won't pay him $1 million, but you have guys that people don't even know on the street making $300K. That doesn't make sense. I mean, if it's unethical, don't dab your toe in the water. Stay away from the water. Run from the water. But don't be waist deep and go, well, at least I'm not up to my neck like those people over there. That's called hypocritical. That is hypocritical. I mean, when you keep lowering the bar, the ceiling only seems higher because the floor continues to drop. Yep. I want Clemson to get 10 portal players a year and make some staff changes. I want the staff changes is a must. And it's not just a change. It has to be the right change. What team has better season, Clemson or Gamecocks? Your opinion? Neither one of them. Neither one of them. I did my whole I just saw another comment come in. I did my way too early prediction like a month ago, and I got to the Clemson and South Carolina game. And I mean, this is after I went through Clemson's entire season. I got down to that game and I went, I have absolutely no clue. I have absolutely no clue who will win that ball game. It's wild. It's wild. It's crazy. Oh, let me see. I agree with you, Brian. Just remember there are some things going on in NIL right now that is not legal. That is legal but not ethical. Case in point, in Ole Miss. Yes, I agree with you. But in Clemson, here's my point with it. In Clemson, we're playing it. We still have this sense that we're playing this game. The NIL does not run Clemson. It does run Clemson. We had a player last year who was out playing one of our star players, and they kept the star player on the field because they were paying him more money. That's unethical. If we want to talk about ethics, and I'm not arguing with you, but there's this weird thing going on in Clemson where we think we're a bunch of we're better than everyone. We do everything the right way. No, we don't. We may not be stealing Farrelly like Ole Miss did, but we're claiming we're not playing the NIL game, but we definitely are. We're just not playing it at a high level like some of these other schools are paying as much money, and we're trying to pawn off. It's being like the fan base has this idea of, yeah, we're paying the players, but we're not like them over there. That's very dangerous grounds, folks. Very, very dangerous. I mean, $300K to a guy who's not even a star. It's a lot of money. Folks, I got to go. I got to go to bed. I got to get up early tomorrow. It's good to see. Good to see all of y'all. This channel does not help me raise the bar. Yeah, I know. If I had the power to raise the bar on that football team, I would. Me sitting, I said this a little earlier, me sitting over here lying is not going to change anything in Clemson, South Carolina. And me telling the truth is not going to change anything in Clemson, South Carolina. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe it's just kind of fun. Okay, I went way too long. Way too long. I gotta go. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I hope you'll subscribe. It is free. If you like what I'm doing, pass it along. If you don't like what I'm doing, let me tell you right now, there's a lot of people right now who's really thrilled about today. They're thrilled about 25,000 people showing up when 50 used to show up. They are thrilled that we threw the ball 15 yards downfield. They are thrilled. And I'm going to tell you right now, yeah. So I'm an outlier, okay? But if you like what I'm doing, I hope you'll subscribe and pass along to your friends. Check out my other channel, Another College Football Podcast, where I talk about college football as a whole. Y'all take care. Get you some rest. Unless you're driving or something, please don't get rest then. I'll catch you next time. As always, go Tigers.